Welcome to Sabor Astrology with T and Shay, a podcast for the soul. Today, we'll be talking about how to balance life in alignment with the current cosmic energies. And without further ado, I pass la taza to T for the transits of this week. Welcome, T.
Thank you, Shayla. So good to be here. And yeah, lots have been going on. And I just wanted to address that even before we go into the transits. We have people of all different levels who are listening, who are participating in this podcast with us. So I just want to say that if you're feeling it, you're feeling it. And not to downplay what you might experience these days. We've had a recent big shift. The nodes have shifted from Taurus and Scorpio into Aries and Libra, which could be a whole other podcast in itself. I'm not going to talk about that, but there are big changes that are going on right now energetically. And we're all feeling it in maybe different ways. Some of us are feeling it more etherically, some of us physically, or we could be doing it all at the same time. Like physically, I have been feeling very inflamed, for example, right? Very inflamed. I got a new allergy, which I didn't have before, with the food that I've eaten forever that I love, and now suddenly I can't anymore. Energetically, I see it in my meditations. I can feel it. My work situation feels different. So, honor yourself. You're feeling it. It's shifting. And I think it's easier to go with the flow than to say, no, I don't want to change, because change is going to happen anyway. So like we can fight the feeling, or we can just go forward with it. I don't know if before I start going into the transits, do you want to add anything to that, Shayla?
Yeah, there's been, all these major changes. It's important for us to, especially now with Venus is going to retrograde on July 22nd, and then the nodes are shifting. So there's a lot of about the self that's coming up for us. Libra being the nodes being in the axis of Aries and Libra, it's about the I and the other. And then Venus retrograde is about the I. So in this, for us to slow down, take our time, and appreciate what we have around us, I think is so important for us to remember that. Honoring the self and honoring all that we will learn in all this challenge. There is lessons that we can apply later on. So it's important to take notes, jot down the things that resonate with you. Even journaling the experience to help us all. Right? There's a lot, but we will get through it.
And I think that with Venus in retrograde, we think about, we're redoing, right? We're rethinking, we're revitalizing, we're re everything, right? Reviewing, reflecting. And so that love relationships, business relationships, financial relationships, right? That's who Venus, represents. She's sitting there in that chair and like going like this, and she's asking us to review that and where we're going to go with it. So going into the transits from July 26th to August 1st, know that Mercury is very involved this week, of this transit. He's flitting about doing his thing, but we know Mercury as, 3, right? Is he the wise one? Is he the flirtatious one? The one that's having fun, the trickster? Or is he the redeemer? Which Mercury is showing himself to you this week? So work wisely with Mercury. Know that he could be tricky, but he's very clever, very, very clever. That actually happened in my last week's Graciela reading that I do on my website. It was like the biggest trick that it was like, wait a second, I ended up throwing 3 cards instead of pulling 3 cards instead of 1 card. But just be aware of Mercury's energy this week. And he's not going to go into retrograde until toward the end of the month, but he's still very, very prominent right now. The first transit that we'll talk about is Sun in Leo, Sextile Ceres in Libra, and that's from 7:29 to 7:31. It's Saturday to Monday. So I see that as a radiant, heartfelt energy, bringing warmth to your relationships. Think about that coming in the room, like how beautiful that is. You might want to host or be part of a gathering. You may be invited to a gathering that is of food, that is of light. I'm thinking lights hanging. You might create your own personal, poetry salon, your own writing salon. And it's all about the dynamism of the soul, Ceres likes to eat, right? I mean, not that she likes to eat, she likes to put food out there. She likes abundance for her people. So with Sun and Leo, it's like, make that happen, whatever way that is. Even if you get like a little thing of hummus and some crackers or something like that, set that out, but make it pretty. It doesn't have to be paltry. It could be very, very beautiful in the way that it's presented. So that's what I have for Sun and Leo's sextiling Ceres in Libra.
So beautiful. I'm hungry now. This is so beautiful. This transit reminds me of show and tell. I don't know why. It's making things with our hands, maybe giving it as a gift to someone else. And show and tell the gifts that we have for others, right? That it's going to possibly put a smile on someone's face, community, that gathering, harmonizing our nurturing style, right? How are we nurturing others? Is it through making things with our hands? Is it through showing up and spending some time to appreciate that nurturing style? And then also spend time appreciating the element of air, of the wind, and the sun, appreciating those two aspects in our lives to ground us, to help us to nurture, right? Nurturing is the key here, and do it our own way will bring us to a place of even more harmony and peace.
That is so beautiful. You reminded me of my teacher, Oceana Fastwell. She used to say, go to the people with light in their faces, the ones that bring warmth to you. Bring yourself there. So, yeah, so she always sits behind me, I think, when we do these, because she likes them. Thank you. So the next one is Mercury in Leo, conjunct Venus in Leo, sit next to each other, Mercury and Venus, and that is beautiful. That is such a wonderful communicative energy. Again, Venus is in retrograde, so this can be a time of, your thoughts transmuting into actuality, into realism. Give it time. It's a one day transit, but because it's 26 to 27, Wednesday to Thursday. Give it time, but honor yourself in this aspect. Because sometimes when we're retrograding, right, we're like thinking about past relationships. They may show up at your door. They may give you a call, and it's like, it's sweet, it may feel good, but is it really the right thing for you? So things that may have seemed beautiful to you in the past, and that didn't work out so well, but then like they still draw you because there's still something that's very like sweet, like honey about it. May beckon you back. So use this time to review. And I like Shayla always says, journal. And then you can look back at your old journals, right? And see like what really went on here. If I read my old journal, I'm like, oh my God, like reality strikes, right? Because that was the truth of what I wrote at the time, of what I was experiencing at the time.
With Mercury and Leo sitting so close to Venus in retrograde, it's almost like they're both communicating, they're both talking to each other. And there might be people from our past are wanting to reconnect with us differently, right? And our communicate just differently with us. Maybe it's a different style, or maybe it's a different way of thinking that people are going to come in from the past, or even us. We might want to connect to people from the past and sit down and have conversations with them, even making friends, like whether it's a old friend that you're inviting again or making new ones at this time. I'm getting here sitting down at cafes and chatting about what's on your mind is so important, especially with Venus retrograde here, chatting about what's the matters of our heart. What are we feeling? Being vulnerable and open. Maybe it is with someone from the past, having some closure with them, or reestablishing it, or it could be with even other women and people that we come across in this time period. It reminded me of the times where my mom and I sit down for cafecito, right, in the mornings or evenings, and we just sit around the table. We break bread, and then we drink coffee, which is not healthy at like 6 o'clock p.m., but it's all right, because we have all these great things to talk about. And it's about that, building that community, communicating through it, and it's being so open in the heart, because Venus retrograde is not easy, and not for a lot of people. If it's easy for you, that's fine. Be open to be more expressive about what it's in your mind and your heart, and connecting those through little cafecito break of community.
That is so sweet. I mean, and I love your outlook. Your outlook shows it's like you're sitting there, and that's like a beautiful thing to honor. It's like sitting with your mother, having a coffee, talking about things. The way you describe it is so different than just, oh yeah, I had a cup of coffee with my mother. Like that is like one way of looking at it. And then it's like having a cafecito con mi mamá. It's just very different and very loving. And that brings such a different vibe to your world, vibe to your experience and the people that you touch. Lovely.
During that time, the hardest things that we're going through, right? And you always get something out of it. You always learn something, like these conversations, right? Venus retrograde is like, oh my God, I have all these things that I'm going through. And sitting down with someone, having a cup of coffee, tea, whatever it is, you can really spill out so much that has been lodged in the heart and come out brand new. Like that's my, perspective on it. And that transit is inviting us to do that. And at least from my cultural background, being Puerto Rican and Hondureña, this is something we do. We sit around a table and we might gossip, we might chat, or we might pull our eyes out. Let this be that space for you.
Yeah, you're bringing back wonderful memories. So thank you. Next transit is Mercury in Virgo, conjunct Mars in Virgo. So this is a great time it's a tremendous time of intellect, of mental energy, of debate. Think about what it is that you may be wanting to say. Think about diplomacy and kindness in your communications and your interactions with others. It's like if you're having that cup of coffee, it's like, okay, like, let people be who they are. Like, we don't have to make them who we are, right? Like acceptance is the answer to all our problems, right? And so they're sitting next to each other. A war of words is not desirable because it doesn't help anybody. No one feels good afterward. Say your piece, let other people say their piece. What I was thinking about was having a talking stick. If you're in a group where you're finding that there's like, oh my God, I need to say what I need to say first before they say it, or someone's talking and they're not letting the other one get their words out. Have a talking stick, right? Like you hold that stick, you say what you need to say, finish what you have to say, hand it over to the next person, and then let them have their turn. Like not just ready to respond, not just ready to jump in, but actually like absorbing what that person has to say. Let there be some fairness in your communication this week with others, without the critique, without the, there's a way of saying things that are just so diplomatic and nice, and that can be helpful without that critical aspect of ourselves coming through. So that's it.
Absolutely. And just taking the time to really listen, like the symbol of the ear, like listening attentively. Maybe we'll learn something new in this transit that is different from what we thought. Again, with Mercury and Mars being sitting next to each other, they're having this conversation, or maybe they're arguing, right? They might be arguing or sharing a lot of information. It's about listening. And even if things people say trigger us, it's important to take a step back and evaluate why it triggers us. Because part of it is we're listening, our brain receives that information, we start to process that. And in that, it's like our brain has all this storage of all these memories and ideas and concepts and perspectives. And it's about shifting that, moving that around, the things that trigger us, that bother us. Or if you have really a perspective you want to share, make sure you bring proof. So make sure that you're bringing in, you're doing it in a meticulous way as well, but try not to defend your point so harshly at this during this transit. Just listen, receive, and then take action. Also conserve your mental energy on the things that do matter rather than the things that do not matter, or are less significant at this moment, just because there's, Mars is going to want to push us to be like competitive, know it all, we're going to share it all, and we're going to just, spill all this information onto someone. But we have to be mindful of that, take a step back, and use our mental capacities in a way that's more practical, more relaxed.
Thank you. So then we go into Mercury in Virgo. It opposes Saturn in Pisces. Careful communications, again, they're key to manifesting our desires, right? To creating our desires. Try to be positive. This is an opportunity for you to continue being, having a positive outlook. How can you, being in reality though, but how can you like put it to the glass half full rather than the glass half empty? There may be some confusion around these times. There may be some areas that aren't resonating with you, and I just accept that the energies are where they are, and that's okay. And they too will move on. And I did get the elements, which is interesting, Saturn in Pisces, but, Mercury in Virgo. But I did get work with the elements of earth or fire to help you keep clear, to help keep you grounded. If you work with fire, if you make sacred fires, now's a good time to do that. Speak to a person of authority. Again, this is something that Sheila spoke about earlier, but who resonates with you and is willing to share their wisdoms with you. This is a good time to do that. Saturn being of that ilk, right? Saturn is the one who has all that wisdom, who says, okay, like folks, let's hold it here because I know what's happened in the past. I've experienced it, or I've seen other people, go through something similar. Just because they're elders, though, doesn't mean that they're full of wisdom, which we all know anyway. And sometimes people who are full of wisdom are not really willing to share it. And that's okay, too, because that's who they are. It's all right. You can ask to be a student. But if you find that you're sitting there and you're not receiving, look at that. Look at how much you're giving in order to receive. This has to be a reciprocal process. And if you find you need to move on, the universes will have that next person in your way. Be clear within yourself of the reasons for your moving on. Is it because you really don't want to hear the wisdoms? That's all right. That's where you're at today. So there's a lot of give and play here. Again, it's the communication that we're talking about. That's what I've received for this particular transit.
I love that, T. And with the transit, also is reminding ourselves of it could be mentally strenuous on us. Saturn being in Pisces and Mercury in Virgo, it's like this pull. But in this pull, we have to see eye to eye in one way or the other with another person, especially those who have more wisdom than us. It's again about listening. It's having your ear nice and open this week to what people have to say. Also, I'm getting the sense of people feeling mentally scattered. Take some time to sit, practice patience, practice this like Saturn's energy. It's about slowing down, relaxing, and reflecting in one way, and then with Mercury, then doing. But for now, it's just about doing that Saturn energy. Take your time with this transit.
I'm going to remember that. All right. Now we're going to talk about Mars in Virgo, Trine, Jupiter in Taurus, and that's Thursday to Monday, 7:27 to 7:31. And you may have like a warlike energy that turns assertiveness into aggression. So work carefully on that and diligently on whatever the enterprise, whatever the project it is that you're working with. This trine gives you the opportunity again that, you know, we're talking about business, financial relationships and relationships. Be diplomatic, try not to fight. Try not to fight, you know, just like let it happen, you know, whatever it is. And, you know, there are great potentials, right? With Jupiter being in Taurus, great potentials during this transit. So, well, people say, oh, she's lucky. Oh, he's lucky. Look at what they got. It's not so much more than being lucky. You know, it's like what they've worked for, what we're working for during this transit. So take care not to lose it because it is important to you. It may be very important to you. And let these energies just bolster you. Let them support you, right? The expansion of Jupiter, Mars, I mean, it's like it's a big energy that is happening. So I hate to use this sentence. It's like, don't blow this opportunity. This is a great opportunity, you know, if we can keep our patience. I'm a fire. I mean, even right now, as I'm talking, I'm turning all red. I have like 6 fire signs, right, in my chart. So like what more you know about yourself, the more you know how you interact in the world with other people. So I'll stop there.
I love it. No, I love it. The fire, you know, that Martian energy. And it's like Mars is a fire, you know, connected to Aries and Scorpio. And it's in the sign of like Earth. So it's really like feeling that wall of like resistance. And Jupiter's like, oh, anything could be possible, right? But there's a wall there. This transit brings in high energy, but we have to be mindful where we're directing the energy. Again, this is Mars and Virgo, which is about like kind of lines and linear action. So for us to, if we have a goal in mind or we have a purpose, to use this transit to actually work on those things. And this is perfect as like Venus is in retrograde because we can actually start to just plan more meticulous and more detailed. Not that everyone is that way, but we can use this transit to help us and replanning and staying kind of focused on that goal, that purpose that we have. I'm also getting here muscles, the aspect of arm muscles, body muscles, like getting in those workouts and physical activity. Maybe that can help us to burn away any frustration, right? That comes in from the Mars being kind of restricted in the sign of Virgo. And it's about also with Jupiter on the other end here about growth and expansion. So what we're doing now on the linear path will help us expand. As this transit leaves, we'll have some pockets of knowledge of like what we want to, how we want to apply our goals into the world.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's so interesting because I'm thinking about that, the whole nerve network, right? The nerves are attached to the muscles, and you know, it's just like
the body, that Virgo.
the image we're bringing up, who we brought onto the planet this time around, right?
Yes.
So, okay, so we're done with the transits, but we do want to introduce August 1st, the full moon is in Aquarius. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Yeah, welcome full moon in Aquarius on the 1st. I want to say it's going to bring forth an insane desire to be felt, to be heard, to be uncharacteristically loud in your volume. This is traditionally called a red moon. Think about the heat of the earth, bringing all things ripen, sensual, ready to explode, right? So if you can, again, I kept getting the thought of, you know, have a sacred fire. If you don't know how to do sacred fire, then you can just like have a candle and you know, work with what you've got, work with what you've got. Give thanks for everything that the season has brought you thus far, even if sometimes it's uncomfortable, because sometimes the redness, the heat can be uncomfortable, but give thanks for it. You know, give thanks for what you've brought forth, what the universes have helped you to bring forth, celebrate it, honor it. And, there's a culmination here before we start onto the new. So enjoy.
Yeah, and this moon is connected, right? Star card in the tarot. So if we can just take a moment, if you work with tarot, just look at the card and see what it is that we're in the super moon, what's coming through for us, right? It's about healing, it's about technology, is about all this great stuff that we can like bring into our lives more, and what are we needing to release, because the full moon asks us to celebrate or to release, and what are we releasing and celebrating at the same time. So enjoy the super full moon and make sure that you're connecting also with your people, with your tribe during this time.
Guess we have a nice way of ending, right? Before we end, is there anything you want to say you're doing this week, or anything you're engaged in that you want to shout out?
Yes. So on July 28th, I will be collaborating with Dr. Emily Grace from Emily Grace Acupuncture. I will be offering tarot readings there. She will be doing free ear seeds and a plant sale. So it's going to be a wellness group, and you're welcome to just walk in. This will be again in Chinatown on July 28th from 2 to 4 p.m. I will be available then. And I'm also, as a lot of people have requested, weekly horoscopes for their signs. I have that now available on a membership through Patreon. So if you're interested, you're welcome to join that tier. I also have other tiers where I share tarot lessons and other fun things involving tarot and writing. We'll explore that more, linked down below in the description box. And I want to thank everyone for joining in to Sabor Astrology with T and Shay, a podcast for the soul. We will see you on the next episode. And T, I know you have a lot to say. What are you up to? And I didn't want to just close it out.
I don't know how much I'm up to. What's caught up to me right now is I am doing consultations. You can check into my website, teresavarela.com, for spiritual consultations. I do tarot. I do just what I hear, because I get a lot of my information that way. I'll share it with you. It depends on what the individual sitting in front of me wants. It's all online. And also my book, My Nights of Indigo Blue, which came out in 2016, is being reissued because it's a celebration copy. I now have the same cover, Murder in Red Hook, so that it's part of my series. And I am working on the third book of the series, Daisy Muniz and her sleuthing, her amateur sleuthing. So that's going to be available in October. So I'll give you dates closer to that, and also when it'll be launched. And I'll also be doing some appearances. So that's going to be like a lot of fun, because I love to talk about the books and the characters, because the characters always become my friends. People who know me, they know how that is. And yeah, so that's what's happening with me right now.
Yay, I'm so excited for you. I need to read the book. The last book I read, I think, was Siren.
Cornell and Siren.
Oh yeah, that was a good book. That was a really good book. Yeah.
That was intense, right? That book took me by surprise. But yeah. So we'll see you again next week. Don't forget, we're here for you. Ask questions, leave your comments. We love that. And, like, share, subscribe, come back. We'll be here next week again. And con mucho, mucho sabor. We love you.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Sabor Astrology with T and Shay. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And we will see you on the next one.